This is Bedtime Stories, Grownup Edition, Queenpin 2.0, Part 15. When we left off, we found out exactly how Tru executed Plan B. She told the Queen Mother in front of Selima and Woody just how she and Nikki put on a performance to give Jose the impression that she was eager to please, and how she bent him to her will after she executed all that she learned during her lesson in persuasion through pleasure. The following day, when Lil Jose headed back to Venezuela, he was in search of a plan B. And within days of his arrival back to Venezuela, he put his foot down. He told his father in no uncertain terms that Yael was not Talia, the code name that Selima was using when she was involved with Lil Jose, and that he would not allow her to go to Colombia with the Morenas. Instead, when she came to Venezuela in a matter of days, he'd convince her to stay there for as long as possible. Santiago Morena could send some of his men to join Lil Jose's team, which would allow them to be able to keep an eye on her and have access to her, ensuring Lil Jose and his father's compliance with the Morenas' wishes and keep them honest. He told his father that if it came down to it, if she tried to leave earlier than they planned, or they were unable to get things wrapped up before she was ready to head back to the States, then he would confess all, and he'd go with her to Colombia before he'd let her go by herself at the round table. So, hearing what they had planned, we had everything lined up. Donovan would return to the island, looking for Yael and Lil Jose. He'd confess to being in a similar business, and to being in a position where he could help Lil Jose get what he wanted. The Queen Mother said, so Donovan was going to tell Lil Jose that he was working for the families, and that Tru was what? Tru said that I was really his friend's girlfriend, and that it was his idea for us to come to Venezuela when we were looking for somewhere to go on vacation, and that we had no idea that he was trying to get close to Lil Jose. The plan was for Donovan to be an ally. The Queen Mother said, well, that was actually kind of smart. But what went wrong? Tru said, well, my father got sick a little less than 2 months earlier. Tru had been in Venezuela for several days. She and Jose had been having a great time. Selima and her crew had been keeping Tru under constant surveillance. One day, when Tru and Lil Jose were riding through the streets of Venezuela, the cell phone that Selima had given her for the operation rung, and the number on the caller ID was to the cell phone that Selima had given Donovan for the operation. When Tru answered the phone, Donovan said, you need to get home ASAP. It's an emergency. Tru said, what's going on, Max? Donovan said, it's your father. He's in the hospital. Lil Jose had flown Tru to Venezuela private. Tru turned to him and said, I need to get back to your house and get my things, because I need to get back to the States now. She told him what was going on, and he said, I'll go with you. Tru said, I can't show up to see about my father with a man that my family's never met. This really isn't the time for that type of introduction. Lil Jose said, I understand that can be uncomfortable, but I think it's best that I at least travel with you. I can stay back at the hotel while you go to the hospital. Which hospital is he at? Tru, recognizing that she could very well walk herself into a verbal trap because her father was in the hospital in North Carolina, and the paper trail that Lorenzo had created showed her as being born and raised in Dallas, asked Donovan, or Max, if her father was at home in Dallas when he became ill, or if he was traveling and working in North Carolina. Donovan, recognizing the issue, said he fell ill before he could go to the airport and head back home. The rest of your family has already traveled there, and they're waiting on you. Tru told Lil Jose, this whole situation has just gotten way too complicated. I just need to be flown back to the States ASAP. Lil Jose headed back to his estate, and while Tru gathered her things, he paced and racked his brain for a plan. Before he could come up with one, though, Santiago Morenas' men walked in the room. Lil Jose pulled him to the side and said, listen, she has a situation at home. Her father is ill. He's in the hospital. She needs to go back home. I can't keep her here. And the Colombians looked at him and said, that's not our problem. We have a job to do. We have clear instructions. if she even attempts to go back to the States, she's going to Colombia with us. Lil Jose said, fine. Let me explain everything to her first. And if she's going, I'm going too. Lil Jose went into the bedroom where Tru was packing up, closed the door and said, Yael, we need to talk. Tru sat on the bed, pretending to be in complete and total shock. Lil Jose had just told her that he was a member of a crime family and that crime family was involved with another crime family in Colombia. And that crime family was trying to get a promotion in the criminal underworld. And they were holding a family member of one of the leading families hostage. They had been for months. And his father was working with the head of that crime family to broker a deal that will put the Colombian family in a better position in order for them to release the woman. And because his father got caught by the head of the four families and was forced to drop down on the Colombians, and he was then forced to tell the Colombians about his arrangement, the Colombians wanted to hold her as collateral. Tru put on the performance of a lifetime. Tears, snot and all, while she cried and Lil Jose held her. He insisted that she would be safe, that no harm would come to her, that this was a deal that his father made, not realizing just how important she was to him, and that it was a deal made solely out of necessity and in good faith, so that the Colombians knew whose side they were really on. Lil Jose insisted that he would be going to Colombia with her, that if she was going to be held for collateral, then so would he. Playing the role, Tru asked, well, how do you know that they won't just kill us both? And why would your father even allow you to do something like that? Lil Jose told Tru that he'd already told his father that if it came down to it, that was what he was willing to do. He apologized fervently for not telling her sooner and was adamant that had this situation with her father not arisen, it would have never come to this, because the Colombians were very close to striking a deal with the four families. Everything that Lil Jose told Tru checked out, except for that latter statement. As far as Tru and Salima and the rest of the crew knew, the four families had zero interest in a partnership with the Colombians, and they had no plans on striking a deal in order to get Jira back. And Tru had no idea whether her father was really in the hospital or if something had changed that necessitated her going to Colombia, because the entire crew was already aware of the fact that the Colombians had made it clear if she even attempted to leave Venezuela, they were taking her into their possession. So all Tru could do was go along with the program. Tru asked, are they gonna tie us up and blindfold us and stuff like they do in the movies? Lil Jose chuckled and said, I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but no, this isn't a gangster movie, baby. We're not being taken hostage. They're not gonna torture us, starve us, or deny us basic human rights. Think of it as a vacation to Colombia. By the time they wrapped up their conversation and came out to the hallway, the men on the Colombians' payroll and Big Jose were waiting for them. Big Jose said, son, I cannot allow you to go to Colombia and be held as collateral with her. Understand that you love her, and it appears that she loves you too. But you are my only heir. I can't take that kind of risk. Tru, recognizing an opportunity to make Lil Jose an ally, said, don't allow me to be the reason that you and your father have difficulties. He's right. I'm scared to death. But I don't want to put you in a position where you have to choose between me and your family. I clearly don't have a choice here. I have to go with these men. Just promise me that you'll do whatever you need to do to keep me safe and get me back, okay? Stunned, Lil Jose was speechless, and Big Jose was impressed. This woman clearly did love his son just as much as his son loved her. When Tru left with the Colombian men, Big Jose looked at Lil Jose and said, I'll do whatever I have to do to get that woman back for you, son. You understand? And Lil Jose said, call Santiago now. Before Tru got into the car to head to the airstrip, she reached in her purse and ended the phone call that she'd initiated when she'd gone into that bedroom to pack. She quickly erased the call from the call history. Then one of her escorts told her, I'm sorry, ma'am, but you won't be able to take that luggage or that purse with you. Tru said, But what about my clothes, my toiletries, my makeup, my hair supplies, my medicine? The man said, you can't take any of that with you. Tru said, but I have a medical condition. I need my medicine. Then she reached into her suitcase and pulled out a medicine bag that had several vials of injectable medication and single-use syringes. One of the men looked at one of the vials and said, you're a diabetic? I didn't realize that. Tru said, yes. It's kind of personal, so I don't just go around injecting myself with insulin out in the open where people can see. One of the other men said, she's going to have to take that with her. Leave the clothes, makeup, and hair supplies, and we can get all of the things that you need when we get there. Take your medication and ID. Leave everything else. They completed a thorough search of Tru's medication bag to ensure that there was no weapons and no bugs. Looked at her passport and patted her down. And then they put her in the back of that car and took her to the airstrip. Meanwhile, at the safe house, Salima was on the phone with Donovan. Donovan said, nah, she never called me back. I wasn't on the phone. Salima said, she called somebody, and whoever it was on the phone with her until she got outside to that car. Donovan said, maybe it was Big Wood. Salima said, I'll check. Donovan said, well, what you want me to do? You want me to come to Venezuela? Go to Colombia? What? Salima said, I need you here with me. I need to pay a visit to Lil Jose. Then Donovan headed over to the estate. He needed to see if the Queen Mother would watch his children while he went to Venezuela. When he got there, he ran into LJ and Pastor Corey. LJ said, Donovan, what happened when you called Tru and told her that her father's in the hospital? Donovan told LJ about Lil Jose having to turn Tru over to the Colombians. And Pastor Corey said, okay, now that makes sense. She asked me if I would be the person who would know where she was and what she was doing at all times, just in case something happened to her. And her family had to be notified. I got a call from a strange number, and when I answered, I thought somebody had butt dialed me. But when I listened, I recognized Tru's voice, only it didn't really sound like Tru. So I listened, as some dude told us some cockamamie story about some Colombians trying to make a way for themselves in another organization. And Donovan said, yeah, the Morenas out of Colombia. They have my Aunt Jira. They're holding her in hopes of being able to make a deal with the families for the 5th position. And we've been running an operation using Tru to get in good with the son of the Venezuelan crime family in hopes of finding Aunt Jira and rescuing her. Pastor Corey asked, when the call ended, it sounded like she'd been transferred to these Colombians' custody. Is she traceable? Donovan said, yeah, she is, at least for now. LJ said, so what the hell am I going to tell her family? You were supposed to get her back to the States so that she could get to North Carolina. Pastor Corey said, I'll handle it, LJ. That's why she picked me. Go get her back, D. If Stephanie or Rennie find out that something happened to Tru, it's going to take Jesus' return to stop them from turning the world upside down. Do you hear me? Donovan said, I'm on it. LJ asked, where is Rennie? Donovan said, she's at the hotel. She's expecting me. But if I go back there, she's going to try to go with me. I got to get the kids settled and get to the airport. Can you tell her where I went? But don't tell her about Tru. LJ said, now come on, man, don't start. Donovan said, L, man, I'm serious. If I tell the girl, she's going to be at the airport waiting on me. Give me about an hour and a half, and then you call her and tell her what's up. Better yet, go to the hotel and tell her what's up. And don't let her leave. Donovan handled his business, jumped on that private plane, and headed to Venezuela. And LJ went to the hotel to talk to Rennie. He tried to keep it brief. He simply told her that Donovan had gone to Venezuela to meet with Salima, and he'd be back in a few days. And Rennie said, and nigga, I was born at night, but not last night. If you're gonna tell me a cockamamie story, the story should at least start with what's going on with my best friend and her father. You think that I don't know that Mr. Burton is in the hospital? You didn't even mention when Tru was coming back, so clearly something didn't go right if Donovan's on his way there. LJ said, Rennie, don't start going off the deep end. All I know is what Donovan told me. And he told me to tell you that he was going to Venezuela and not to let you go to Venezuela. Rennie said, "Where is Tru?" Meanwhile, in New York City, Big Wood got a phone call on his satellite phone. It was Samuel's right-hand man, Marley, letting him know that he had a job in Colombia. The families already had a crew in position. They just needed him to meet them there. He'd be going in for an extraction and a rescue, and he'd get the details when he arrived.